Hello everyone, welcome to Herlefeld for Farming Simulator 11, created by SourceWorks and Desperados93. Well, here we go again, folks, on this wonderful map, even for good old Farming Sim 11. We're just about done cleaning up all the bales here, and then we'll be putting some equipment away, combine away, and then we'll be dragging, I think we'll get to it by about the end of the episode, dragging our forage harvester out into the field to start chopping some corn. And my goal is to take it to everywhere that I know there is a clamp of some kind. I want to kind of test them all out and make sure they all work and that kind of thing. So we're kind of just getting started in the ad process of it. And this, of course, is a voiceover. I recorded this without saying a peep. I wanted to return to some of these comments, on Modhoster that are just interesting to me to read from back in the day when people were discovering this for the first time and what have you. So, without any further ado, just diving right back in here. My app is great. How do I open the gates? Please help. And a lot of these, as we'll see, are kind of repeats, from previous comments made. Another one says, "This is such a mess. I put the BGA add-on in the mods folder plus all the scripts, which unfortunately doesn't list anything you need, and still no BGA appears. It's a shame, otherwise it would have been a good map. I don't understand why they made the installation process so complicated." And I think we've talked about that one before. I can understand the frustration of Joe Q Public, the guy on the street, who just wants to play the game, enjoy the mod, and doesn't know how to mod himself. If you don't have a little ability to mod, I think this whole process, just becomes more difficult. And back then, I wouldn't have known how to do it either. When I played Farm Sim 11 regularly, I didn't have a clue about modding either, so this probably would have been a map that would have stymied me. So, it's a reasonable criticism, but it isn't really so much a criticism of the modders, that made this map versus kind of the approach taken by the whole modding world. Not even just at this time, but kind of just in general. One thing about modders is they like to control where and how their mod is released, and I know a lot of times they don't want it buried in someone's mod pack. A lot of times they may not want a mapper to embed it in the map. Maybe they want more visibility. Who knows the reason? Every modder, will have their reason. It sure would be helpful, if they would allow them to do it. And when I say allow, I mean it's a very loose system, this whole modding world. Some people, they don't care what the modder says. They'll just do what they want with it. And of course, that tends to raise the ire of modders. And some of them, cease creating for the community. Some, they just get hot under the collar. And I'm not going to sit here and judge what is right and wrong, but to the average person who just wants to use the mod, it is so helpful if you can just plug and play. It's kind of like the computer world. Years ago, to install software on a computer system was a much bigger ordeal, than it is now. Now you pretty much download it, you run an executable, and it does everything it needs to do in the background, and it's just done. You don't even have to think. And so that's probably what this fella's saying. It's just a plea. I wish it could be easy. and which is unfortunate. Positive comment, I've been playing this map for weeks and hours now, and I have to say it's the best one available for Farming Simulator in my opinion. The textures and color schemes are fantastic. And you know, I tend to agree with that sentiment. I mean, look at it in here. We're zipping across the field. It does have rich colors in here that, you know, I've been back to the stock map, if you will, that the Giants made, which is a good one. But there's something, this one here is just more vibrant. And you know, it always tends to be that way with the mod maps, because the modder can make them to suit their fancy. They don't have to make it for everyone. You know, the Giants, I think, tried to make it so it would work on everybody's computer, no problems. Well, if you're a map modder, you don't have to worry about that. You do it for how you want it to look, and you can make it look good. Let's see here. I have the same problem. No BGA appears despite the following vague description here, or despite following it. Would have been simpler, you know, with download links provided. Too bad. Yeah, these comments sometimes are placed for people to... And sometimes it may sound like they're whining, but I think what it is they really badly want to play it, you know, but for whatever reason, didn't have the right version, couldn't get it right, or whatever. They can't. So they let everybody know here. Another comment, I don't mean to sound like a know-it-all, but check your BGA version. It has to be this one. And here's a helpful comment. He, she, whoever, provides a link. And it says, you know, here's the biogas add-on mod. So I'm sure people really appreciated this person's comment. And then he follows it up with some positive comments. Give it 5 stars for this awesome map, except for the clip distances. Let's see. Someone's asking, will the map also run on weaker PCs that have Windows XP? Whoa, yeah, see, that tells you how long ago this was. Windows XP. Yeah, that was a long time ago. That was a good version of Windows too, by the way. Does it have any polygons, he asks. Polygons, I think, are, well, it's a type of shape, and each model in there, like we're looking at the tractor zipping along the road, or the car coming against all the trees, they're composed of lots and lots of various polygons to make up their shape. And the more polygons there are, the harder it is for the computer system to run. I seem to recall there was, and this is something that's improved, you know, with each successive version of the game, but I remember reading a book, I think it was called Modding for Dummies. I was trying to learn a few things, and I think in there they recommended tractors or steerable equipment. It was something like 75,000 polygons. Maybe it can handle even more now, you know, if they wanted to limit it to that. And obviously, you know, if you look at versions of Farming Sim, there's no doubt they put a ton of effort, you know, into the equipment, the tractors, combines, and so forth. Many times it looks beautiful, you know, photorealistic to see those models. But less so, shall we say, in the other aspects, maybe for buildings or foliage in particular. And sometimes, I mean, this is just my own observation, I mean, it must be really hard to make a game and get it totally right, but I think some versions of the game are more balanced than others. You know, for example, everybody here knows what a cartoon is. It wouldn't make sense to look at a cartoon and see, you know, one cartoon is a drawing of a rabbit, a crude drawing, and let's say another character was something that looked almost identical to a human. You just say, well, that looks mismatched, you know, unless that was part of the whole point of it. I mean, I think that sometimes is what happens in the game. And I think the Giants have tended to focus on how the equipment looks, wanting to make it look really good. And some of that may be required by the manufacturers themselves as part of the licensing agreement. But sometimes you'll have this perfect looking equipment, and then you look around at the sky or the trees and the foliage, and there's just a mismatch. You know, the equipment looks beautiful, but everything else just, it might be fine if the tractor looked trashy, or less good, if that makes sense. So I think Farm Sim 11 was pretty well balanced, at least to my eyes. I realize everybody's going to have an opinion. 13 was to me, it always struck me as kind of cartoony. This is my opinion to my eyes, it just looked a little bit off for some reason. And then once you get to Farm Sim 15, I thought things looked pretty good in parity. You know, the equipment with the trees and the surroundings and everything, it looked reasonably good. 17, I feel, was about one of the best of the franchise, although they're probably getting better now. 19, in my opinion, is practically the epitome of what I was just describing a little bit earlier. The equipment looks awesome, but when you look at the sky, and if you remember, Farm Sim 19 is the first version where they had a dynamic sky. So, and I think they continued with it. The old versions used a static sky, meaning it was just a picture of a sky, and so it never changed. You didn't see clouds moving or that kind of thing. So on the one hand, you know, it's good on them, it's cool that they introduced a dynamic sky, but by the same token, it didn't look very good compared to how it was before. And so when you put a less than perfect sky, and I remember somebody describing the sky, they said, you know, why does a game with beautiful equipment have a Minecraft sky? You know, that's the gist of what the comment was. But that kind of demonstrates or illustrates kind of the point, you know, that there was a mismatch. And I think 19 was perhaps the most mismatched of all, at least in my opinion. Then you get to 22 and 25, and I think they have really improved. 22, I think, was really good, although I haven't played much 22, and 25, honestly, I haven't played at all. There's some things on 25 that look really cool. And I think, you know, like anybody, the Giants are doing the best they can. At least I assume. And each iteration, they learn things, and, you know, it's just a matter of trying to continue to improve what they're putting out. But now how did I get off on all this? Oh yeah, on polygons. Yeah, and I think as the game has gone on too, they've made improvements to the underlying engine so that it's able to handle more and more polygons and still be able to run and function with more beauty in the picture that you see. Okay, someone is asking twice, do you get paid for silage at the biogas plant? Please reply quickly. And then they put this comment in there twice. Nobody replied. Those kinds of comments probably tend to be ignored. This person says, app is so beautiful, practically the most beautiful one on Modhoster. I just think it's awesome. Trees, fences, everything fits together perfectly. After watching a video of this app, I finally understood what Farming Simulator is all about. It should be a game you play with a passion for agriculture. The app is simply superb. Huge, huge, huge praise to the modder. Yeah, that's an awesome comment. Someone is definitely a fan. Alright, let me see what else is here. I don't understand how to insert the triggers. Can someone help me? I already tried it with GE, but I just can't get it to work. I can't load any grain, manure, or anything like that. I have the app super siloed. I've tried several shovels, but it just doesn't work. So I think this person misunderstands. You don't have to do anything. You just need to have the right mods. But he also says the app itself is really great. There's nothing to complain about. He's just niggling over loading silage. Another one, I also think the map is really cool. I play on medium difficulty, but it still looks awesome. Great job. Kudos to the modder. I play on very high settings, and I can only say it doesn't get any better. It's a best map on Modhoster after it comes to Nordifel, which I've played for hours. Yeah, that must be some other map I'm not familiar with. Someone's asking here, where is the cow pasture with the real cow? Seems like that comment's come up several times. Another person, he asked it again. Yeah, double. And then you get this helpful comment. I can't seem to load this crap. Why? Well, Marcel95, I don't know. Hello, I have a question. I want to ask if the legal trailer shown in the second video is available for loading or if it's privately owned. Yeah, and that's another person asking about the mods that they see in videos. Yeah, I'm not sure why they would choose to leave a comment like that in something here that's dedicated to the map. Because who knows what video they're talking about. Well, I guess they say the second video. But anyway, they're not the only one that does that. Hey everyone on the forum, first off, the map is super cool, especially now that the biogas plant and the highway are finally working for me. I've tried a lot of apps here, but this one just works perfectly. Thanks to the creator. 11 out of 10. Oh, that's high praise. I hope Giants take a page out of this book for the next Farming Simulator 13. Yeah, then they got some comments about Farm Sim 13. Cheers, Chris. I have the same problem as many others. I can't plow or harrow the manure. Perhaps someone has some advice? Yeah, we're going to see if we can get that to work. Won't be in this video, of course, because we haven't got any manure to spread. But back here, well, and I'm not even sure the most recent versions have it, but there were special mods to put down manure textures on the soil. I think this map has the layers for that. And yeah, for a while there was a problem with a particular mod. You could spread it on the map, but then you couldn't get it to go away. So until there was a script fix, and I'm pretty sure I have the right version for that. The map would be really cool, but unfortunately the grain loading and unloading points are completely inaccessible with large trailers. Just like at the agriculture supply depot, you can't get around the corner with a trailer. What a shame. Well, you know, maybe that's, maybe the map author is wanting people to use smaller equipment. Although sometimes I know we choose bigger equipment. There's maybe certain tasks we want to just get over and done with. So we want to get the biggest one there. Maybe that's a American thing. The map is really good, but on field 27, the trees obstruct the harvester and other vehicles. And when driving from field 27 to 26, there's a very sharp bend. It's almost impossible to get through with the trailer. Otherwise, the map is fantastic. Kudos to the modder. I'm not sure mine has numbers on the fields. I guess I don't have it here ready at hand. I printed a map, I just don't remember numbers on it, so I'm not sure what they refer to, but I've ran headlong into all these big trees, and since we eliminated the problem, I just removed collisions from every last one of them. Done, and no longer a problem with trees. Hi, can anyone tell me how to remove the milk truck from the map? Nobody told him how. I'm not sure why you'd want to do that. I think it's really cool that someone set up the milk truck to function on here. And I think it's appeared maybe a couple times in a video. Usually, I think when you first open the map, Well, I sometimes when I open a map, I think it's at the start of the day. There was like 2 times a day that the milk truck goes, but I installed the milk truck on the Feldy map, and that was hard for me to figure out. There isn't any instructions that I'm aware of, or I sure couldn't find any, that explain how to do it. So it was only from a ton of study of the base map, taking some guesses, to figure out how to change it. There's so many maps you'll download off a Modhoster, and it has a truck route, a milk truck route. But if you look real closely at the PDA map, the route is identical to the stock map, and it's probably because a mapper couldn't figure out, because the Giants didn't give us any instructions, they couldn't figure out how to make their own route. But here, this guy figured it out, and it runs, and I don't know, I haven't had any trouble with it. The only time I could see you having trouble, is if you were running into it or something, but whatever. Let me see here. Trees, milk truck. Hi, so I'll solve the puzzle. You have to download Biogas Add-on V2, then open a new WinRare, open the Load Map Object XML, Notepad, specify the correct... Yeah, I'm wondering, some of these comments, they're giving suggestions on how to get things to work. It could be, this is 2026 now as I record this. This is long after, the modder and people would have been wrestling with this. To me, this is some of the advantage of coming in and playing these games when they're old, because a lot of these mods have all the kinks, worked out now, problems figured out, and maybe back at the time they had to do some work to get it to go. Maybe the modders had to create additional versions of this, that, and the other to get it to work, and we just don't have to do that now. So, yeah, it's kind of hard to relate. Great app for readings from Poland. Let's see, did I already read these? I think I maybe already read these. Yeah, put that there. Moving along at a furious pace. Can someone do this with the DLC BGA instead of the regular BGA? Some enterprising modder could have done that. I suspect this probably was issued or released before we had the DLC BGA, when the Giants created one. So this map is relying on something modders did, and I still haven't figured it all out in here yet. I'm kind of exploring it. I'm curious to see if it is similar to what the Giants did or not. I know it can be done. I know, like with the Feldy map, referring to it again, I added a BGA to it, and it used the DLC BGA. So I know it can be done if I can do it. App is simply fantastic. Thank you so much. Another comment, this map doesn't even have a biogas plant, even though there's one on the map. But when you drive there, it's a sawmill that's completely useless, and the ground texture is awful. Okay, well, that person doesn't like it, and it sounds like they don't have the right mods. Awesome app, keep it up. Another one, awesome app, but why can't I spread manure on the grassland? I'd appreciate some help. Does the grass grow back in fields that have already been mowed? Yeah, we've seen this comment several times, and I know the answer to that already. In some of them, no, it won't. So we'll need to plan it. Hi, the map turned out really well. What I would really like to see added are course play courses, because the map is very large. So if someone could create some course play courses, I would be very grateful. Yeah. Although setting up courses, that can be a lot of work, and I know some people would set them up so others could download them. But it's interesting, when someone comments the map is very large, it's really no bigger than the standard map. Actually, it's probably a little bit smaller, frankly, because it doesn't use the entire area. Another person says, best map ever, but I have a few more ideas for a version 3. Is there mud? And is it in a large silo? I wonder if that's a translation error. I don't think we had the mud and dirt mod in Farm Sim 11. The earliest I remember seeing it was in Farm Sim 15. Maybe it was in an earlier version, where you spin out, you can get stuck, and get your tractor dirty in a hurry. So maybe he means, is there manure, and is it in a large silo? Huh. Yeah, there is a spot to get manure over there. Hello, I have a problem. I can't access the PGA's corn silage silos for sale. Does anyone know the reason for this? Probably. Yeah, we're going to see if we run into trouble with this too. Once the silage is ready, we'll see if we can actually sell it. Maybe we'll have difficulty too. Tobias says the map is really beautiful. Kudos to the modder. I do find the roads a bit narrow though. Otherwise, it's very good. Keep up the good work. My place isn't the PGA, it's the wood factory. Please help. Yeah, this comment's been seen multiple times. Great map, respect. The highway is a good idea. Even the fact that the cars drive fast. Yes, that is pretty cool. My highway is completely empty despite having the add-on. Can someone please help me? Yeah, 2 comments back to back. For one it works, and for the other it doesn't. Hey guys, can someone please explain why I suddenly can't download mods from Uploaded anymore? Oh, Uploaded. I'm not even sure that site exists anymore. I remember getting a few mods off of it, and oh man, it was torturous. It had pop-up boxes up the wazoo, and I was always worried I was going to catch some virus on my computer using it, and it was painfully slow. I think they had a paid version or something, and I don't even know if the site exists anymore. This person here, explain why I can't download from there. Well, I don't know where they were downloading from, but if they were in a school or whatever, they may have seen that site and thought of it as a virus hazard, which it probably is, and decided to make it so they can't use the site. Who knows? Let's see here. Hello friends, the app is great, but I have one question. Where or how can I retrieve my stored grain from the silo? Please reply personally. Another one. Yeah, don't answer here so everybody can learn. Send it to me privately. I think we talked about that before. This is where it's so helpful to have a manual for the maps so you can see clearly where stuff is. Hey, the map is really not bad, and I wanted to ask what kind of John Deere is on site 18 and the push-off trailer on site 34. It would be great if someone knew. Who knows what he's talking about? Site 18, site 34. Yeah, those aren't links, so who knows what he's referring to. This map is really great, but I have a problem. When I buy a lot of mods, I only get errors like bad action or Giant's engine no longer works. Does anyone know why? This person probably ran into the same problem that I had, that we worked on in here to get, a large address to access more memory on the computer. It was kind of a limitation of the game as to how much memory it was allowed to access. I think 2 gigabytes. So, yeah, this person had probably the same problem. A kingdom for these modders. The map is really great. The pictures aren't working. Please fix them. This person's complaining about Modhoster in here. A cool map. Kudos to the modder. Let's see. Okay, we've already covered all those comments. I'm gonna have to do another one. I still got a couple pages here. Alright, I actually think the map is quite good, but the highway is so stupid. It just runs right through the map instead of being divided, since you can only cross the highway at 2 intersections. Oh, calling it stupid is probably a little over the top in my opinion. I mean, they're trying to depict the Autobahn, and I haven't been to Germany. I have no idea how the Autobahn works. I think I've seen pictures, but it's kind of like a 4-lane highway, right? So I think it's okay. I mean, it is what it is. It's ambiance for the map. Yeah, and then someone here says, if you think the highway is stupid, you don't have to watch it. Okay, or just remove the highway mod. Yeah, okay. Problem solved. Another one says, where are the silos? Another one, could someone please send me another link? I don't know what that means. Awesome app, but I can't drive into the dealer's lot because the gate won't open. Yeah, Bryce script that he needs. Great map. The farm is super realistic, even when spreading manure and slurry. There are either manure piles or slurry sprayers. Brilliant app. Great job. Another one to ask, can someone tell me how to feed my cows here? Yeah, some of this might be kind of basic. Maybe how the game works, let alone on here. Or he could just be asking, hey, where's the trigger? Most of the time, I think you can look for a feeding trough, and that's usually where you drop it. But again, I go back to it's really helpful if the modder takes a little time to write a manual to show where all the triggers are. I have a question. I can fill, cover, and uncover my biogas plant and remove material, but I can't get the shovel to tip over the shredder. More problems. You know what, folks? We're almost out of time here. Thank you so much for watching. We'll have to continue this in the next one. Goodbye.